Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with jazz drummer Marcello Carelli. We got into his debut release, the new 2022 CD, The Era. It is the culmination of his first 4 years as a composer, and 7 of the 8 tunes are original compositions. This 22-year-old musician is originally from Bedford Hills, New York, and has done enough in the jazz world already to consider him a veteran and old soul. He's got quite a tale to weave. Enjoy.
Thanks for taking a minute after the show today. I appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, yeah, thank you. Really appreciate you having me on.
So talk to me about your roots. Talk to me about your Italian roots.
Man, I was born in New York, New York. You know, my roots are Sicilian and Calabrian. So
okay.
You know, I've actually never been to either of those places. I have been to Italy, but I've never been to Sicily or Calabria. I'm trying to make my way there soon. But yeah, my dad's side of the family is Calabrese and my mom's is Sicilian, so definitely Southern Italian roots for sure.
Yeah, so where did you go in Italy?
I went to Pescara, then Umbria, and I played both of those two jazz festivals back to back, actually, back in 2018. Yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah, my lineage comes from Sciacca, Sicily. That's where a lot of Dominos are from, and the other part is from Naples. And I actually had the chance in both 2000 and 2001 to go on trip there. I had a pen pal in high school that was from a little town, Castelfiorentino, which is south of Florence, and I went and visited her. Yeah, and then I went to Rome, which Rome just blew me away. And then I was actually in the back of a water taxi on the morning of September 11th, 2001.
Wow, in Italy?
That's in Italy, insane. Yeah. So I'm sitting there trying to kind of like really wrap my head around, you know, just having the ability to ask for a pack of smokes in Italian. And this guy in the back of the water taxi just starts shooting his arms in the air saying Nuevo York, kind of panicked. And I'm sitting there thinking, all right, are you talking about the car bombings in 93? I had no idea. Like, when I went on trips in my 20s, I just cut myself off from civilization. So I'm just hanging out, doing my thing, and he's just looking at me like I'm insane. Because by the time I came back home, or to my hotel in Venice, my dad's a native New Yorker. I get on the phone, and I'm like, what's going on? He said, a tower, one of the towers of the World Trade Center just collapsed. They said, wait, I was just there about 4 or 5 years ago, standing in between those. That's not something that just falls down.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, of course, and then the folly goes from there. But, yeah, anyway, so.
What a story.
Yeah, it's wild. Yeah. So, but what a beautiful country, and there's just something just magical about that whole country. So I'm enraptured, and I can't wait to get back. I think I threw a coin in the Trevi Fountain, so hopefully it all comes back.
I hope so too, man. Yeah, I did go to I went to Rome for 2 days and got to see the Trevi Fountain and like all that cool stuff, but it wasn't long enough, you know.
Well, cool, man. Well, hey, you have a brand new album out called The Era, and I want to get into that, like especially the timing right now with things kind of opening up. Seems opportune for musicians to be able to promote their material. What does it mean for you for it to come out right now?
Yeah, well, first off, I was thinking about originally releasing the album back in August because I had recorded it in back in March of last year, or March or April of last year, and I was trying to at least have the project out before I started my new journey here because I'm at USC now as a master's student, and I was at Miami, the University of Miami, for Ross School of Music for my undergrad, so I recorded it there at their studio, which was really amazing. But I figured I'd wait until the beginning of this year just because it seemed like, as you were saying, things were starting to open up. A lot of people were releasing music, new artists. It just seemed like a good timing to put out the music. To start off, sort of a fresh start, post, Canada's still going on, obviously, but it seems like things have really loosened up and opportunities to maybe, promote it better or try to get some shows. I've already had a show, a release show for the album as well. which did very well. So I'm thankful for that. Yeah, so just excited to have it out while and I'm seeing, because I've been getting some radio play and seeing the other artists that are putting the records out at the same time, and it's cool to see, because some of these artists I've never heard of before, or maybe they're in their early 30s or something, so they're like the generation above me, so it's really been fascinating to see everything unfold.
So it's your debut album. There's a lot of originals on here. What kind of statement do you want to make with the listeners with this album, with this introduction?
The statement I want to make is that drummers aren't just drummers. There's so many young musicians out there that happen to be drummers, but they're also great composers and arrangers. So I want to prove to people that drummers should be thought of as more than just people that keep time. So I've really gotten into composing over the last couple of years, and that's what this album really reflects, is just my development as a composer. I didn't see myself as a composer coming into undergrad 4 years ago, and now I love to write music. It's just one of my biggest passions besides playing my instruments. And I think also the statement that this album makes is just that there's been a lot going on in these last 4 years. The pandemic's been happening. I went to school in a place where there were a lot of hurricanes, so there were always things going on that were, there were obstacles. So the music was what got me through this time in my life, this era. That's why I call it the era, is just because it was quite an exciting whirlwind of a time, and the music, it speaks for itself. It's resilient. Obviously, one of the tracks on there being Resilience is just the fact that we all the musicians in this band as well, we all stuck together. We've been playing together for a while, over the 4 years, and there was a lot of we just love to play, and the playing helped us get through the really tough times that we had over the 4 years. So I couldn't be happier with the band, with how the music came out. Yeah, so it's just really just the beginning. It's a statement to say that I'm going to just keep writing. I'm not just a drummer. I'm a musician, a full music, a multifaceted musician.
Earlier on today, I interviewed a veteran London-based musician that's been around for a long time, and kind of asked about kind of the rebounding and the revitalization of the jazz community after what's happened with the pandemic, and was kind of asking him how he sees the community coming back stronger. And he said something I had never heard before that's interesting. He said, it's not up to me. I'm just an older guy that's lucky to be able to play as long as I can, as long as I'm around. It's really about the younger generation, like what their decision is to keep this going and how they're going to do it. So my question to you, as a younger cat with the debut, is what are your thoughts on coming back after all of this?
Well, the younger generation is coming out really strong, especially at post-pandemic. I think what we bring to the table is just, I think we have naturally we've been taught to understand the importance of technology and relating that and promoting ourselves via the internet, because there's just so much out there now on the internet. So we use I think a lot of us, at least myself, I used the pandemic to not only figure myself out and take some time to just reflect, but also just I was able to focus on composing and focus on stuff that maybe I wasn't so strong at prior to the pandemic, like the technology, the recording, obviously more writing and arranging, so coming out of the pandemic, I think we're going to bring something really, really new to the table. As far as, I think the energy is always going to be there, the positivity, the drive, and I think the audiences are going to pick up on that. And I know a lot of audiences have been waiting to hear live music, for the past two plus years. It's hard to believe that it's been that long, really. So yeah, I think that's the younger generation is going to help make people realize the importance of live music just by the drive and the innovation.
So you're originally from Bedford Hills, New York, and I'm curious, growing up, how did jazz become your life? What were some influences, and how did this become your pursuit?
Yeah, thanks for that question. Yes, I grew up in a musical family. So my father is a trombonist and vocalist and a band leader. So he has his own orchestra. It's called the Gerard Carelli Orchestra. He has been working in New York and around, everywhere really for the last 40 years, as a band leader and a sideman. So yeah, I get the music, I get that part from him, and then the rhythm. My mother's a dancer. She danced on Broadway. That's how they met in the show 42nd Street. He was subbing. My father was subbing on the show, trombone chair, and my mom was in the original cast. So they met at an after party. So it's your typical musician, your artist, romantic love story. But they. So that's sort of how I get my rhythm, because she's a tap dancer. Maybe she was tap dancing while she was pregnant with me. So, I mean, the rhythm comes from all of it. The music, just having the music in the house all the time when I was growing up. I was always listening to, Frank Sinatra was on, Mozart was on, just a whole range of music, a wide range of music. So I definitely attribute my passion for playing to, how I was raised, and my roots for sure.
So what was one of the first live jazz shows that you saw that made you think, that's what I want to do someday?
And that's a really good question. There's a lot of, I think when I heard the Christian McBride big band, that was really the ticket. I think I was, in maybe early high school. I always knew I wanted to play music, but, maybe I wasn't, the way I was listening to music was I was just listening to it to listen to it. I didn't really understand. But when I was in high school, I was doing the Manhattan School of Music pre-college program and really getting serious with it and practicing a lot more. And then I started going out to concerts at Jazz Lincoln Center, and I happened to hear the Christian McBride big band, and it's just the energy, the feel, the hook, the connection between McBride and Quincy Phillips, and it just felt so good. I was like, man, I want to have that connection with a bass player. I want to find someone that I can have that hookup with, and really just it motivated me to work on my feel, work on my time, work on the things I needed to take it to the next level and to do it in college. And now here we are, yeah.
So what is it that you like the best about being a musician, being a professional musician? What do you look forward to the most every day?
I look forward to the spontaneity of it all, just the fact that you can't really expect anything as a musician. There's no plan unless you're scheduled to go on a tour and have that. But for the most part, it's just you have to take it day by day, and you never know what kind of phone call you're going to get, or if you're going to have the inspiration to all of a sudden write a piece of music, or to, I'm going to practice this thing today, or I'm going to have a gig, a jazz gig, and then the next time I'm going to have a more alternative pop rock gig. I mean, it could be a bunch of different things, so you never know what situation that you're being put into. So that's the cool thing about it, is that there's no consistency, but it's always fresh, as opposed to just sitting down at a desk and every day and doing the same thing from 9 to 5, which is an art in itself, but it's just not something I could see myself doing. I'd rather put my heart and soul into a job, into a gig, or a composition, and create something that impacts people. I want to play music for myself, but also to connect with other people.
So if you could get into a time machine, we get off the phone, time machine, DeLorean pulls up in front of your house, and you could go anywhere in the history of time and see a jazz musician live, where are you going to go? Who are you going to see?
Yeah, okay. Well, I think I'm going to go hear Miles Davis Quintet with Tony Williams. That's where I would go.
Right on.
Early yeah, definitely like 60s quintet was definitely one of the most influential. Just sounds, just to hear, especially because I'm really interested in cymbal colors, and the fact that the Tony, because I've been sort of on a cymbal search, and Tony's ride cymbal, it's always the thing that drummers talk about. It's like, you're never going to find the Tony ride cymbal, or how did he get that sound in the recording? And, how did him and Herbie, where they're on the same page with the comping in Four and More, that's my favorite record, is Four and More. Just hearing them, they're on the same wavelength. It would be cool to see that live, and just, they played together so much that it was always on lock, but it'd be cool to witness that person in person. Yeah. So that's where I would go, probably.
So everyone has a perception of you, your family, your friends, your fans, but ultimately you live your life. You have a perception of you. Who do you think you are?
Man, I think I'm, definitely proud of who I am. I'm an independent person. I try not to be influenced by opinions around me, but obviously it's not an easy thing. With just the times that we're in, the pressures that we feel to be better, to put more stuff out there, But I definitely, I would consider myself a positive individual, an optimistic individual, someone who's willing to make others happy and help others, and just connect with others on a musical level, on a social level. I'm always up to meeting new people and traveling the world, and so I'd say I'm a very open person and a wholesome individual. But maybe other people could say differently. I don't know. It's I'm just very grateful. That's the main thing right now. Is I'm very grateful for where I am in my life. I've been given a lot of. I've been very fortunate to have my education. Pretty much mostly paid for. Have had great opportunities to travel in my life. At such a young age, I'm only 22 years old. So I feel like there's nowhere to go but up from here. It's just as far as what I'll do in my life, and I'm just thankful to be part of and I think that comes from how I was raised. My family, they're also very gracious people, and they've provided me with a great life so far, and so I'm just onward and upward from here.
Right on. Marcello, thank you for taking a minute out today, man. I appreciate it.
Man, I really appreciate you having me on the show, Joe.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players in New York, Kansas City, and spots all over the globe, giving fans all that jazz. Thanks to Marcello for his time, music, and story. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com. And for everything Neon Jazz, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. And for everything Joe Domino related, go to joedomino.com. And there, you can donate to the Neon Jazz cause through PayPal or Patreon. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.